Okay, we are in Ein Yakov, and we are in the Gemara, Shabbos, chapter Bamelikin, and it's 32b, and the article is 32b2. And it's at the very bottom. So it says, having we mentioned the MItzvot of wearing tzitzis, so the Gemara expounds on the rewards that await one who fulfills this precept diligently. It says, Amarish Lakish. You're right there at the bottom. You see it? Right there at the bottom. Kol azareh betzitzis. Whoever is careful in wearing with the precept of tzitzis. Again, whenever you have a four-cornered garment on, and that's the only time, you are required as a Jew to put on tzitzis on that four-cornered garment. If you do, well, yizochem eshamshim lo shnei alafim ushmonameot avadim. You shall merit to have 2,800 servants cater to him. Yes. You wear tzitzis and you want the servants. Where are they, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a thought. We wear tzitzis underneath now because most shirts don't come with four corners.
Correct.
Right. So what happens when you wear something like a poncho over? Do you have to wear one or the other, or do you wear however many four-corner garments you have? You have tzitzis on?
However many four-cornered garments you have on, you have to have tzitzis on those four-cornered garments.
Right. But
yes.
You wouldn't have to have the underneath one if you had one on, just in general. Yeah, the one that we have underneath is just because we don't have any.
We want to have a constant mitzvah, so we wear the one underneath our shirt. Right. Yes, but if somebody wanted to put on a poncho or a blanket or whatever else they want, and they're going to wear it as a garment, then yes, they have to put tzitzis on those things too. Which is why you have, in the morning, we put on talit gadol, talit katan. So each one of those four-corner garments has to have tzitzis.
And they have to be visible?
No. You don't have to.
He was asking about something maybe that's bigger, and so what might not be visible.
That wouldn't affect it. In other words, if I would be wearing even a four-corner garment, it would has a poncho, okay? And somehow the tzitzis were hidden from sight for whatever reason. I'm not sure how you could do that or why you would do that. But if you did that, as long as you have them on your garment, that's all it is. They don't have to be dragging on the floor. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't be dragging on the floor. Until the katan, it depends on who you are. Really, it depends on who you are, right? Because you're getting into a whole system. Why do we tuck it in? Because we want to assimilate into culture. Let's be honest with ourselves. We want to assimilate into the culture. We don't want to answer the question. Really, it should be out. Why? Because there's uritemoto. You should see it. You should see uritemoto. Right? You should see it. You should see this. It says.
Well, the head covering is certainly visible, whatever form
no, I can cover it with a baseball cap. So then the head covering becomes just a baseball cap.
But the head is still covered.
But you don't know I'm covering it because of religious reasons.
Right.
So my point is that if I'm wearing tzitzis, first of all, it's on me. It's on me to wear the tzitzis and to see the fringes and to remember that they represent the 613 commandments. So then I don't forget that I'm bound to those 613. It's like tying a string around your finger.
Or a ring, yeah.
A ring if you're a married guy, right?
I didn't mean to confuse it. I was just wondering if they need to be visible.
No, so I'm saying I'm answering. They don't need to be. They don't need to be. But again, for the people who are tucking it in, like I said, let's be honest about it. We're tucking it in because we don't want to. Either it looks unkempt. That was some people complain. But really, it's a matter of just assimilation. I don't want to have to answer it. I don't want to be different. It's bad enough I'm different in different ways. So now why do I have to bring that into the picture? But and by the way, when you don't, and I'm guilty of this, so I'm picking on myself. When we don't wear them out, then our children don't see them out. And our children will, even though we're saying put them on, they will be more quick to take them off because they don't see Abba, Tati, Daddy, or whatever you want to call the father, wearing them. It's similar to when they don't see the mother going to the mikveh every single month. So they think that the mother never went to mikveh. So as a result, they don't go to the mikveh. Mikveh is what after your nida period, after the menstrual period, women go to they make sure that they're no longer bleeding. They've gone through 7 clean days, to make sure there's no blood. Then they go immerse in the mikveh. After that, they renew their marital relations with their husband. Okay, so every month that's going to happen. But if a woman goes at night,
late at night.
Well, it's only late because it's late at night here because it's 10 o'clock. But in the wintertime, it's normal time.
They want to make sure that there's nobody else around.
Nah, but I'm just saying it's not something you shoot from the rooftops going to the mikveh.
Yeah.
And so the kids don't know it. The mother walks out. Okay, where are you going, Ma? I'm meeting somebody, and come back a half hour later, nothing happens. The kids, you had a good time? Thank you, I did. Okay, fine. Next thing you know, okay, the husband and wife disappear. Fine, but or whatever. But that's people don't know about that. It's a very private situation. So as a result of that, the children may never know until they learn much later on what they should be doing. And so, but they may think their mother never did it. So the same thing, if I tuck my stitches in, my kids never see me with stitches hanging out, so they may think, Abba never put stitches on. Oh. So why should I put stitches on? Now it becomes the minhag of the family not to put stitches on. Oh. So that becomes a danger of tucking it in without explaining to your kids, look, I like to tuck them in, it's just, I like it better that way. And if you say I like it better that way, you can always be honest about it. Though we don't want to be so different from the people outside. So, but if you go into the Hasidic section of town, not only do they have the tzitzis out, they wear the tzitzis on top of their clothes.
Oh, yeah.
So it becomes the outer garment, not the undergarment anymore. And it's a fancy garment too. So the more you wear it out, the fancier it has to be already.
Yeah.
But
the racing stripes.
that's right. It's stripes. It's all nice. It's wool, but it's outside. That's when you get to your poncho type thing. Okay. And that's when they have the tzitzis. Or if you go to yeshiva, some of they're always hanging out, but at the yeshiva. But so it's your shirt. Yeah. So that becomes a style to be unkempt. But it's. But that would be, again, should you see it? It says in the pasuk, "Aritamoto," you should see it. You plural should see it. So it's not only you, the individual, but also the people should see it. So I could easily see the argument to wear it outside, which is why, by the way, Hasidim will wear it outside. And the reason we wear it inside, you want to call it minhag? I don't think I should give it such a title as minhag. I think that's pushing the envelope on the word minhag. But people definitely tuck it in again. But I think if people are honest with themselves, they'll realize it's
more of a Sephardic kind of thing than having it on the inside.
Again, I would even ask very strongly on that. Like I said, I think it's a matter of more of assimilation, that they didn't want to deal with such as. It's bad enough, and it's bad enough they had to deal with kippah, and that's why, again, most people wore a head covering of some different thing. They wore a hat, and then they took it off in the business. They didn't have it in the business, right? It's not everybody wears a kippah when they're sitting inside the building, because they say, I have the roof above me, which is a really weak rationale. I'm not going to say it's totally no good, because I don't want to insult everybody, but maybe Yavin, as they would say. Those who understand will understand. I'm very much against that, but nonetheless, people do it. So they'll try their best not to look Jewish, even while they're being Jewish, and so their people won't realize that Goldstein is not Jewish, or Goldschmidt, or whatever the traditional Jewish names would be.
It happened to me at work one time in Chicago, so. I wore my in except for Shabbos because I'm just in the community that way. But so we had another guy there, a frum guy. Both had yarmulkes on. So one of our coworkers comes up to me he says, "Say, Mark," he says, "how come you don't have your fringes on like so and so does?" I said, "Oh, you mean these?" Right. Funny, how come he has them out? I said, "Well, I keep mine tucked in. I want to look neater."
Right.
So you do get asked. There's a question.
Right. So the question is, do I want to use that or not? So do I want to use that as not only a reminder to me, but the world should see it, and then hold me to account more? Yeah. By the way, let's face it. If I have a baseball hat on versus a kippah, I'm less likely to oogle at the girls. If I have a kippah, if I have a kippah versus my baseball cap, I'm less likely to oogle at the women, a cat whistle, or anything else, or go into a bar, or go into any place I shouldn't be going. Put my kippah on, I put my hat on, and who knows what's going to happen? I can start speeding, I can start doing things I wouldn't normally do.
I'm one of the dudes at that point.
So, yeah, right, I'm like everybody else. And then, of course, you put the baseball backwards because the wind will take it off, and so on. So a whole bunch of things that goes into it. So yeah, it's like I said. Well, the more we dress the part, the more we're held to the part. And I think many people don't want to always be held to the part. Again, that's my personal opinion. If they can actually show me that there's a reason to tuck it in, I'll back off. But until then, I hold it's just a simulation. And again, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I don't tuck it in. I tuck it in myself. But anyway, so you get, again, 2,800 servants catered to him. How do we know? Shneimar says, "Go Amar Hashem Sefakot." So thou said the Lord of hosts, "Bayam imahema asher yechaziku asar Hashem b'kol shono hagoyim." In those days, it shall come to pass that the 10 men of all the languages of the nations shall take hold, and they will take hold of the corners of the garments of the Jewish person, saying, Nilcha imachem, we will go with you. What's going on there? It's a famous thing. The prophet foretells that in the Messianic era, the Gentiles will hear that God is with the Jewish people, and they will travel to the temple in Jerusalem in vast numbers to worship Hashem. In this connection, the verse states that 10 men of all the languages of the nations shall take hold of the corners of the garments of the Jewish people. Noting the reference to the corners of the garments, the area which this is a place, our Gemara expounds the passage this way: as a reward for to the one who faithfully observes the mitzvah associated with the corner of the garment, 10 men from each of the 7 nations of the world, that's 700 men, will take hold to each one of the 4 corners of this garment. So simple mathematics. Thus, the person will be served by 2,800, which is 4 corners by 700 men in all. So what are they doing? Really, what's going on here is when the non-Jews realize we were right and they were wrong, Mashiach comes. That's it. We're right, you're wrong. Okay? So once we're right, you're wrong, you want to grab onto us to say, teach us the way. So that's why they're coming up with the numbers of 2,800 people. But really, that's what the prophet, and it's the prophet Zechariah, is saying that. It's an amazing visual, if you will. Here I am, I'm wearing my stitches, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then Mashiach suddenly comes into the picture. Oh, we were right, you're wrong. If we're right and you're wrong, so now everybody has to figure out how to do it properly. They haven't done it properly in 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 years, whatever it's going to take. They haven't done it right. So now they want to grab onto us and say, okay, let's learn the right way. Okay? Okay, so now it says, the Gemara gives a mnemonic for various discussions that follow. Mnemonics are great. We never understand them. The Siman, the mnemonic is, Sanei Chala Truma Nigzelet, which means hate, Chala, stolen, and Truma. Dina, Shavua, Shifuchta, Geduya, V'navluta, judgment and oath, spilling, revealing, and obscenity. The mnemonics were a way for us to remember, by the way, I don't know if it's there in your thing, I doubt it is.
I don't see it.
Right, but I want to just give it over. A mnemonic is very interesting in that it was a way to, like any good mnemonic, it's a way to remember what's about to come in the Gemara. So if I just remember one, I'll remember everything. The problem is, unlike in mnemonics in the medical field or other things, they make sense to us. This doesn't make sense to us. We look at hate, chala, you still have to remember them.
What does it mean to you?
No, I never understood the mnemonics. I never understood them. Once in a while, they actually make sense to you, and you say, Right. I remember one person called me up. It was a non-Jew who was trying to prove Jesus or something. I don't know what it was. And there was some mnemonic that actually made sense, but it seemed to, it could have been interpreted the way they wanted it to.
Where was he reading it? What is he?
It was like some Gemara.
Yeah.
So Again, the Gemara, they didn't have in mind that somebody's going to take it out of context. They said, this is mnemonic. So sometimes it makes a sentence. A child will be born, blah, blah, blah. And other times it doesn't. To us. To them it made sense. To them, you heard this and you would remember everything. Fine. So, Tanya, here we go. Rabbi Nechami Omer, you should have this. Ba'avon sinat chinam. For the sin of gratuitous hatred, or what we call free hatred. That's what we're dealing with right now in this time period. Right? Why was the temple destroyed? Because of sinat chinam. Sinat chinam is hatred for no reason. And he says, if one directs hatred towards decent and upstanding individuals, those who have not committed crimes which would be justifiable to hate them. The only time it's justifiable to hate a person, our rabbis tell us, is if you see somebody doing a crime, but you weren't witnesses to. You don't have it?
I have it.
Okay. Okay. The only time you do it is you see them doing something, but there's not witnesses to get them punished. At that point, you can hate the sinner. You can hate the sin, not the sinner, blah, blah, blah. But that's when you can show them disdain. Okay, fine. But he says, but bavon sin chinam, for the sin of gratuitous hatred, meriva rabba b'toch beito shel adam. Quarrel proliferate within a man's household. Vishto mapel in the fallen, and his wife gives birth to stillborn children. Uvana v'notav shel adam meitim b'ksheim ketanim. Not only that, but a man's sons and daughters will die in their youth. In other words, you have a lot of headaches. When you have sinat chinam, everything bad is going to start happening. And he said, by the way, the children can only die, as he brings down, Rashi brings down, when they are minors. It's not when they're under bar or bat mitzvah. The punishment mirrors the transgression. He who is guilty of groundless hatred towards others will be beset by a lack of harmony in his own home. That which he himself loves, his children will be taken from him. So you want to stay away from sinat chinam. You want to stay away from hatred, period. It's never worthwhile to hate, regardless of what's going on. But it ends up eating up the home. So you don't want to do that. Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he said, Ba'avon chala, for the sin of failing to separate chala, the chala tithe. Again, you're making a dough. The dough is the size of 43 eggs. Okay, for those who want that, approximately 5 pounds, I believe it was 5 pounds of dough. You have to take a little piece of that dough and you separate that for the Kohen. Today we burn it off because we're outside of Israel, but if you were in Israel, you would give it to the Kohen. Assuming you knew who the Kohen was, you could give it to him, and he would use it for his own use. But that is one of the tithes. So for the sin of failing to separate the challah, ein bracha b'mekunas, God's blessing is not bestowed upon stored produce. Not only that, but a curse is sent upon prices. Why? Because you're stealing from the Kohen. Understand something. When you don't give the proper tithe, you are stealing.
But what is he supposed to do? What's the Kohen supposed to do?
Eat it.
Why?
That's his, the Kohen gets 24 gifts for the service he's doing in the temple. Because when God had the Kohen and the Levi, by the way, doing the work, when he told us we'd do the work, he also did not give us any land. Kohanim and Leviim have no land in Israel. You, Yisrael, have land, right?
Who supports? Where do they stay?
Oh, so they can stand. Where the Leviim were given cities of refuge to take care of all the people who kill people. Is that the end? Accidentally, right? Absolutely. And so they were given those cities, or they could just live in the city. They could have apartments, but they didn't have land. So they didn't have land to pass on. They had housing, but they didn't have land. We always have housing. But you got a piece of land. So everybody at the table, got a piece of land, and you could farm. So you were self-supportive. But as a result of that, you weren't running to the temple to do this daily service. You hired me to do that. So as a hiring to me, you have to pay me. Nothing's free in the world. So God gave me 24 gifts.
I was wondering if maybe there was some sort of a discretionary fund that the Cohen gave it to people who were starving or had.
No, he has to feed his family.
He would be the one who would be starving. If he gave
Well,
it
if he gave everything away, yeah. So but he's getting he and the Levium. So you have a lot of people getting that stuff. But you have to take it, because what happens is people sometimes say, today you have the same thing, right? I always like to use simple numbers. You get $1,000 paycheck. God gave you $1,000 every single week. Well, he said to you, Tzaddik, I want $100 back, and I want you to give $100 to tzedakah. Okay, so 10%. That's the minimum you can give. 20% is the tops. But you have to give me a minimum of 10. Okay, so what happens? You say $1,000, so I have to give $100. I could do so much with $100. I don't know. I could do that. I could buy my wife a new dress. I could buy the kids this. I could do that. It's tzedakah. I don't have to give tzedakah. Fine. So that's charity. It's not nice. So I'm going to keep the charity, because I need a charity too. Charity begins at home. That's it. Okay, fine. So now you're making $1,000. So altogether you made $52,000 a year, right? $52,000 a year. Right, $50,000 a year. You owed $5,200, and that year you only gave, grand total, let's be nice about it, $3,000. That's all you gave. You really owed $5,200, but you gave $3,000. So Hashem looks at you and says, "Oh, wow, wow. You know what that means?
You're moonlighting, but
No, I have to get your salary. You can get $30,000." Making $30,000 now, and suddenly you get a cut. You get a pay cut, and and the boss says, "I'm sorry, we had to cut back." So blah 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 blah. All this.
That makes the 3,000 and 10%. In other words,
say it again.
That makes the 3,000.
Correct. You gave 3,000. This means it's all you can give you. So you have to get 3,000. So fine. So by the way, if I'm a farmer, it means like my crops got cut. Okay, whatever's going to happen in order to make up that shortfall. God says, okay, no problem. You didn't need that money. I'm cool with that. I can give it to somebody else. And then, by the way, if you give more money, let's say I gave 20%. So I gave $10,400. Hashem says, oh, tzaddik, I like that. Guess what? You were making $52,000? You just got a pay raise, $100,000.
yeah, but you don't get more land, right?
No, you get
more
produce.
Well,
Produce, more money, whatever. But that, on that little piece of land, it can either produce a lot or it can produce a little. That's up to you if you give the proper tithes. That's what he's saying here. So if you don't give the proper tithe in challah, what's going to happen is, again, one is your stored produce is going to fail. Number two, a curse is set upon the prices. Because he said stored staples such as oil and wine are not in abundant supply, and thus the prices for such come inflated. Fine. Zorin zaram elcherim ochlim, and people sow seeds while others eat the harvested crops. And again, Shenemar is stated, Afani es ezot lachem, I will do the same to you. Vivkarti alechem bahala, and I will assign upon you panic. Swelling lesions and burning feet from machalot, enayim v'divot nafish, which causes eyes to long and souls to suffer. Uzratem larik zarachem yechalu oivechem. You will sow seeds in vain, and for your enemies will eat it. Al tikre bahala. Now, in this verse, do not read the word bahala as it's written ela bechala. Rather, it is bechala. On the account of chala, all this is going to happen. Okay, so you didn't give challah. And what is challah? It's a little pinch of dough that you have to give the Kohen. What are you being so cheap for? That's what Hashem is not asking for much. I want you to hear that. Hashem is asking for very, very little from us to give to the tithe, to give to taxes, and we're begrudging them.
It's more really of a symbol of an attitude than a quantity. A symbol of an attitude that you want to.
Right. Well, but you have to do it, though.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Certainly it's an attitude, but I'm saying is you have to do it. And you, by the way, whether or not you do it nicely or not nicely, it doesn't really matter to which is, I guess we'll go into that equation too. Just because I have my $52,000, $5,200 a year I have to write out, right? So I may be begrudgingly doing it, which I wouldn't advise, but you still get the 5,200. So fine, I did it. I gave it away. It's an old story of, and the Gemara talks about there was two different fathers, but there's so one son supported his father with fatty meats and everything else, and would give it to him, and the other one had his father working hard, moving the grain wheel around. And so Hashem says to the guy who fed his father fatty meats, he's not getting any reward. He lost the reward. He's going to be punished. To the one who's making his father work, he's going to come to Gan Eden. He gets an automatic pass. So they're looking at him and saying, "What are you talking about? It should be the opposite." Yeah. So he says, "No." So and what happened? The Gemara goes through the whole thing, but the answer is it should be opposite. No, he says no. The guy who's giving his father fatty meats, he's saying, "Here, old man, eat. What do you want from me? Here's everything you want. Leave me alone." And the other guy who's making his father move the thing around, what happened was they came to the family and they said, "We're drafting the old man to come to the army." So the father said, so the son says, "No, I need him to take care of the grind mill to feed the family. I'll go in his place." Oh. So because he honored his father in such a manner to keep him alive and so on and so forth, that's why he was honored, blessed with the Gan Eden. The other guy who, in a cursed manner, gave his father all the good stuff, Hashem said, no, he doesn't deserve anything. He deserves to get punished. So attitude does matter in a way, but when it comes to taxes, we don't care how you give him. You give the tax. Okay, so you have to give the challah, you have to give the ma'aser, you have to give the truma, you have to give all these things, again, and don't cheat. Because once you cheat, it's going to come back to haunt you in various different manners.
Quick question about
it can be a slow question too.
Okay, with the Levi'im and taking the challah in Israel, so the possibility of knowing who the Kohen is, would that be any Kohen?
Yeah. What do I mean by, I'm going to ask, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to retract. What do you mean by any Kohen?
I mean, so,
any known?
You said before in Israel. You mean now or back then?
Well, certainly back then. Even now. Even now, if you know who the Kohen is, let's say the Kohen.
Everybody knows Kohen.
No.
So what does that mean?
No. You know I'm a Kohen, right?
Yeah.
But I'm taking money out of your pocket. So now, we have a rule that in order to take money out of your pocket, I have to bring a proof that I am the Kohen.
What do you mean?
I have to bring a proof.
Rather than just his family minute.
Right. In other words, you want to give me an aliyah, so give me an aliyah. Somebody wants, I'll give you the best example. Somebody comes into shul, and they say to me, a woman says to me, "I'm Jewish." Great. Mazel tov. Tremendous. So happy. She's sitting there, but she's telling me she's Jewish, blah, 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 blah. Good, great, wonderful. Now, she comes to me and she says, I want a shidduch. I want to marry somebody. Okay, let's revisit this. Lady, you said you're Jewish.
Oh, I just had a son. He needs to be circumcised.
Okay, even there, right? Even there. But let's go the marriage route. I like the marriage route better because the marriage route is more dangerous.
Yeah.
So I said to her, "Okay, how do you know you're Jewish?" She walked in. How do you know you're Jewish? Now I have to do the investigation. Okay.
You ask her how she knows.
Yeah. How do you know? You have proof you're Jewish? Somebody wants to be buried in the cemetery. You have proof? It's very nice. You have papers. You converted, what was your mother, blah, blah, blah. You have to do that. If somebody just wants to sit in the synagogue, I don't care if you're Jewish, not Jewish, you could be whoever you want. You want to sit, you want to daven. I had people coming into, when I was in Bangor, I had a woman who was a Chinese woman. She wanted to come in to pray in the synagogue. I said to her, why? She said, because it's a holy place. I said, just don't burn any incense and we're all set. She sat on the floor. I'm telling you, she sat on the floor and she sang her song. It was I didn't understand what she was doing. She may have been davening to an idol. I don't know, but she didn't burn any incense. I said, go ahead, do what you want.
Is it a weekday or Shabbos?
Weekday, no, weekday.
Oh,
I had
you
all
mean
types.
Just during the day.
I had all types
going.
coming, right, I
There's
had
no
all-
minion going on, you mean?
No, nothing going on. She says she wants a break. Go ahead. I don't mind. But what I'm saying is, once if a man walks in, okay, if a man walks in, I want to learn Torah and I'm Jewish. Have a seat. And now he wants an aliyah. Okay. I want to count you in a minyan. Sorry, let's check this out. I have to do that. Okay, so I had a person call me up. He wants to come for Shabbos. I said, so you're Jewish? Yes, I'm Jewish. I didn't believe him. So I said, so your father's Jewish? He said, well, actually, no. Now the parent is Jewish.
Oh.
So what makes you think you're Jewish? So he said, well, I'm learning to be Jewish. Oh, so you're a conversion. Then we've gone to a whole discussion. Fine. So, but everybody wants to identify as Jewish, because they know it's the easiest way to do it if they want to come here. It's the easiest way. But so at certain times, I don't care. Other times, you have to say, okay, put up or shut up.
Oh, so it's Kohen.
So for a Kohen, same thing.
You have
If
to
I'm
prove
coming,
the lineage,
right?
you know.
If I'm coming to you and I say, "Hey, Mister, I want your challah." By the way, if you give me the challah and I'm not a Kohen, you haven't paid your tax.
Yep.
Okay, let's understand that too.
That's just a straight handout. Then.
Right, that's the taxman cometh, as your son-in-law would say. The taxman cometh sooner or later. So you can say, but I gave it to Plony, Joe Smith, gave it to Plony, and he says it's going. No. That's your responsibility to know who you're giving the money to. Can you imagine somebody comes to your door and says, I'm the taxman, I'm from the IRS. Show me your identification.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you thousands of dollars.
Phone calls all the time.
What?
Get these phony phone calls.
Yeah, you owe me. This is coming. That's coming right here. Show me, and I'm going to call up for the badge number too. I'm not going to give you money just because you say you're somebody. Show me proof. Okay, that's hamotzi. That's a famous thing. Hamotzi mechaveru alav haraya. The one who wants to take money out of my pocket, bring proof. Bring proof I owe you something. Otherwise, I don't do it. Otherwise, I'll burn it, because that's what Hashem said to do. I can't use it, burn it. Nobody gets use from it. If I don't have a Kohen. Or I can, if I'm in, by the way, the difference between here and Israel is, Israel I'm obligated to give that tithe. Here is just a minhag to give the tithe. So that's why we take it, we put it in our oven, we don't give it to the Kohen. Even in my family, my wife burns it. She really doesn't have to, in reality, because I'm a Kohen, right? Now, you have to assume that my father and my grandfather and everybody else was right all the way back, who told me I'm a Kohen. Then that's your other danger. But when Mashiach comes, he doesn't identify who the Kohanim are. He doesn't give us the lineage test. So either we are or we ain't, I guess. So it's up to us to figure that out. But that's what I'm saying. So here, if you don't, but in those days, or when it was much clearer who the Kohanim were, so it's, it is what it is. So you have to be careful, though. Like I said, but you have to give the point is you have to give your tithe. So he says, the Maharal explains that here too, and we're talking about, with this one, we're talking about people will sow seeds while others eat the harvest crops. So he says, the Maharal explains that here too, the punishment fits the transgression. The baking of bread represents the final stage in the production of food. It can occur only after wheat has been planted, grain has been harvested, ground to the flour, and so on. Additionally, in the baking of bread, man takes the raw materials God gave him, namely the wheat, and fashions it into a man-made product, bread, with which he sustains himself. The punishment then mirrors this. When people fail to separate tithes from their bread dough, God withholds blessings from all final or man-made stages of food production. Crops will grow, but man's attempt to store them for future use will be frustrated. There will be no blessing on the stored produce. Curses will be visited upon prices and the man-made economic system through which food is distributed. And although people will sow crops, they will fail to realize the final product of their labor, for others shall eat the harvest. That's how the Maharal saw that. Okay, so that's the fun of Agada. It's not halachic. You have to figure out what the rabbis were really trying to get to, and so there's a tradition, and so different people will bring out different parts of that tradition. Fine. He says, V'im notin, that if people do give the challah tithe as required, so midbarchen, they are blessed with plentiful sustenance. And how do we know this? It's written in Ezekiel. V'reishit arvisotechem, titnu lakohen, lahaniach bracha el betecha. You shall give the first of your dough to the kohen, so that the blessing will rest upon your house. So it's pretty clearly written that all you have to do is give that meiser, that tithe. Okay. Bavon bittul truma umasra. Now again, for the sin of neglecting the truma and meiser tithes, what is that? The Torah commands the 2 tithes, ma'asra, which is the 10th, and a portion known as truma may be separated from the produce grown in the land of Israel. The truma is given to the Kohanim. 1 tithe is given to the Levim every year, and as for the other tithe, it is some years taken to Jerusalem and consumed there, and other years it is given to the poor. So we have tithes are really covering everybody. Okay, so you have to feed the Kohanim, the Levim, and the poor.
So teruma is also in the form of dough, like the...
No, it's a different type of...
So what form does it take? How is it given?
It's unprocessed. Well, okay, I'll give it to you right here. Whereas the challah tithe is separated from final man-made produce, truma, meiser are taken from basically unprocessed grain and produce. The raw materials God gave directly provides for mankind. Thus, and that's what it be, the unprocessed
They're just
grains.
the harvested produce, whatever it is.
Right. So they could do what they want with that stuff.
So Trumot are what were brought, say, during the Shloshei Redim?
You could. Yeah, you could, I guess. You could do it any time, but either way. You probably would bring it during that time. It would be easier. I could see it being easier. It's but there is a tax time. I mean, there is a bottom line. You must bring it by a certain date. Otherwise, you don't get you get taxed by God. But it's there is a time. I'll give you an example. For tree produce is Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat was the new year for that. No, it's before that you had to bring it. So then Elul would be for Rosh Chodesh. Elul was or is for sheep, I believe it was. And then you had Rosh Chodesh Tishrei had different maasrot that we had to bring, and then right before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so we had another tithe. So you had four times a year. We have 4. That's why it says 4 New Years. We have 4 New Years. So the same thing in America, by the way. I always like to make sure we understand that. In America, you have January 1st is calendar New Year, January 1st, right? So April 15th is tax year. That's your new tax year. You have to get in your taxes dues for April 15th. In other words, I can make money through January, all the way through. I'm sorry. I can still give my donations to my IRA all the way through April until April 14th, and then April 15th is the new year. Okay, and accounting is June 30th. That's a fiscal year for June 30th, and I think we have one more. I just forget what I think we have 4 New Years in America too. But it's an amazing thing how. But all these New Years mean is that it's new for taxes. There's something you're usually going for taxes here. And by the way, for the New Year for us, if you think about it, in January 1st. So December, if I have a child at December 31st, at 11:59, the child's born. I just got tax-free for a child for a whole year, right? So again, you have all these different cutoffs that we have. So the same thing for us. They're all dealing with taxes of some sort.
I think the 4th New Year is like opening day of baseball season. I think that's probably.
I'm not sure. It could be. Okay, that's the unofficial, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so it says, okay, for the sin of neglecting the truth matter of tithes, so Shamayim ne'etzarim aholid talumatar. The skies are withheld from precipitating dew and rain. and as a result, the prices become the high prices become the norm. V'asachar aved, profit is lost. Uvnei adam ratzin achar parnasatam v'ein magian, and people race after their livelihood but cannot attain one. How do we know all this? Shneimos, it says in Job, Tzia gam chom yigzlu meme shelek. The dry and warm season steal the waters of the snowy season. Sha'ol chata'u, they have sinned to the depth. So the Gemara explains, my mashma, what is implied from here? Tana de Rabbi Yishmael, the brighter of the Academy of Rabbi Yishmael says, taught bishvil devarim shesviti etchem bimodachama, because of the things that I, God, commanded you to perform in the summer, namely separation of truma and tithes, lo asitim, and you did not carry them out. Yigzulu mikem meme sheleg bime geshamim. The waters of the snow, the rain, in other words, will be stolen from you in the winter. You steal from me, as it were. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. So he said, okay. So again, once again, you have to, if you what the Gemara is trying to get across is we have to pay. The Gemara is really pushing this stuff because, let's face it, again, people don't like to pay. Okay, anything that we can get away without paying taxes, we do. Regardless of, everybody likes to, I watch enough videos to know that the rich love to blame the government for them not having to pay taxes. It's so amazing when I hear that, by the way. Me, any way I can get out of paying taxes, because you're just taking money out of my pocket, I would say, thank you, right? When the president signed in a thing that gave me a pay raise, whatever he did, I forget what it was, I said, thank you. I didn't say, why did you do that? You took money away from me. No, I said, thank you. Put money back in my pocket. So I hear these videos where the rich people, who are mega rich, that's what they're claiming anyway, they're mega rich, and they're making fun of the government for giving them tax cuts. I'm thinking, well, if you really want to pay taxes, just pay them. Leave me alone. Just voluntarily pay.
There's a line where you can volunteer money.
Right, just volunteer. See, I want to. You know what? I think I owe you $1 billion. Here, it's $1 billion. Enjoy yourself. What are you making fun of everybody for? What are you picking on them for?
It's like Nancy Pelosi talking. That's just crumbs.
That's just
crumbs.
What do you
Nancy
mean?
Pelosi was the.
Oh, you mean like, who was against my pay raise?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let her again. What I'm saying is, why don't they just do it? Because the bottom line is, we look at our money, our produce, as ours. That's what everybody does. It's ours. Whatever I made is mine. My hard work did this, which the rabbis are trying to get across. It's not true. You did your endeavors. There's no argument about what you did. But God makes the rain. God is the one who makes you successful. Steve Jobs went broke 5 times, 7 times, whatever he went, until he finally hit the mega bucks. Bill Gates, again, went broke, made money. The richest guy in the world, Jeff Bezos, whatever it is, Google, whatever, no, Amazon. Was it? Bezos, okay.
Bezos.
Amazon, right?
160.
There you go. Amazon. Amazon wasn't always like that. They're going broke. And again, Baruch Hashem said, you know what? This is your lucky day. Tzaddik, it's your lucky day. Now do right with the money, or you know what? It's going to be gone. It's going to be gone overnight. You can lose it all.
You know what's interesting? How this class goes till 11 or something, or what?
Yeah.
It seems to me that in all of this, the sense of community is lost. In other words, there are certain punishments that you can visit on individuals, but when this starts talking about a season of no rent, that affects everybody. That's a sense of whether they gave their tithes properly or not. You lose the sense of you punish everybody for the sins of a few.
Oh, okay. So
how do you get away? How do you spot? How do you do individual retribution without punishing the group?
Okay, so what the Gemara is talking about, I hear what your question, and the Gemara is talking about everybody's not doing it.
Yeah, like rain.
No, I'm saying in this, it's saying The majority of people are not doing it, not the individual. The individual will be punished in his own way. In other words, what happened is, let's say, again, go back to the individual case where the guy's getting a great produce, okay, and he doesn't want to give his tithe. That's simple. God says, okay, again, you get a simple pay cut. I'm only going to give you so much for your crop will fail for some reason. Everybody else will be going well, but you're going to suffer. That's it. That's the individual. But what happens when the majority aren't paying their taxes? So that's when Hashem says, look, the majority of you are not doing this. The government, the rabbis, are not trying to enforce it, are not doing their job, whatever the case is going to be. So I have to punish you all. That's when the rain disappears, as it were. But it's not, you're right. That's why he's not saying the individual is not doing it. He's saying in the sin of neglecting to give these taxes, you're all going to be punished. Don't think that you can get away with it. Again, to all these rich people who are yelling, we should be paying more taxes. Do it. Don't talk. If you think, by the way, don't call it taxes. Call it donations, which of course will be a tax break anyway. But okay. But you want to give them money, give them money. But if you don't want to give tax, if you don't want to see tax breaks, don't worry. I can take your money without issuing you a receipt.
That's Warren Buffett's complaining. My secretary is paying more taxes. Well,
she was.
Pay it. What's wrong?
No,
with
she
it?
was paying because she was paying. He was saying the
salary,
truth.
and
He was paying payroll
salary.
taxes.
Yeah,
he was paying capital gains. So you're right. It's different tax breaks, but it's. But he's right. I mean, I'm paying less taxes. Great. Okay, but my point is, if you want to pay more taxes, pay more taxes. But here, if people are doing what they should be doing, again, the community. So that's when the rabbi is saying, if the community does this, we won't be bothered by the lack of rain. We'll get what we should be getting. Prices will stay low. It's a simple procedure. That's what God wants. People don't like to accept that. People like to believe that they're in control of themselves, which is why, I don't know. Again, I'll pick on things that we all do. So if I have to go to work in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever the case, and I have to miss a minyan, I don't negotiate with my employer that, hey, I have to go to minyan at this time, so I need to get out. I say, I'll daven by myself, right? I'll do that. And if I miss the minyan, okay, so if I miss the davening, so I missed the davening. Hashem will forgive me. Hashem's looking at me saying, you're looking at the wrong employer. I'm your employer. I'm the one who gives you life. I'm the one who gives you your money. Why are you disrespecting me? I don't get it. So again, Hashem will take it out of me. But if you have a whole group of people doing that, then Hashem says, okay, I have to wake you up somehow. So let's do it. I don't want to. Again, Hashem is our Heavenly Father. Let's understand that. Hashem doesn't want to punish us. Hashem wants to only give us reward. Hashem only wants to do what's give everything to us. But when we start ignoring God or not appreciating what God is doing for us, we don't say thank you, then Hashem says, and as a matter of fact, we complain. We complain about it. That's when Hashem says to us, okay, you complain about that? As my mother used to say, I'll give you something to cry about. Okay? So you never want to do that sort of thing, but that'll be the answer. Whereas the individual, God will take you out individually, and you'll get all the sorrows that you can experience. By the way, in that case, just to give you the remedy for that, is according to Rav Harush, and I love quoting him for this, he says the best way to stop all of the problems you have is to thank God for the problems. Thank God for the problems. Thank you because it makes me talk to you more. It makes me appreciate you more. And thank you for blah, 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 blah. And also even the bad stuff. Because I see it as bad, but it got me to talk to you, made me make my relationship better with you. So therefore it's good. So thank you.
And when things are going well, you don't check in as often.
Right. So thank you so much. And I'm going to keep thanking you. And I mean to thank you for that bad stuff. Thank you for blank. And when you do that, Hashem says, oh, okay. Now I can give you the good stuff. Good. Now you appreciate it. We'll have to stop here. Yeah. But, okay, so we are off again until the
week of the
20th, the
right?
21st. Yeah. The 21st, August 21st.